There we go. Okay. Good evening. Welcome back to We Are Better Together. Happy Sunday, everybody. And today, I don't have my sidekick today, so I'm real nervous today. I don't know how it's going to go, but the show must go on. So I have a guest host today, and she's actually very special to me. She's one of my BFF. For real. And so she's going to fill in for Sierrah today, but we're going to be talking about attachment styles. So let's bring Tamika Scott Jones to the stage. Hey, Tamika.
Hello, Deneen. Hello, everyone out there. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me on today.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself, Tamika.
Okay. Well, first I'll tell you first because I'm a mother and a grandmother first. I'm a child of God, but I'm also you want me to tell you a little bit about like my background in social services?
Whatever you want to share with us.
Okay.
Or not.
Okay. Well, I'll just talk about a little bit. I have a background in social services, social work, and a lot of years of experience working in higher education. And also I have experience working in human resources, many years of experience in human resources and just working with people. I love service and enjoy people and I enjoy serving God. So I'll tell you that. That's all I can say.
But, right.
Yeah.
No, that's good. That's enough for us. Just to know that you're served. Having a servant heart is enough. That is enough. And then your background kind of lines up with the things that we talk about. Because, you and I, we talk a lot. And this is kind of how this podcast got started. We were having all these deep conversations all the time. We were just like, wow. We say, oh man, this, oh man, that. Every time we learn something new, we're sharing it. And so just kind of thought, you know what, we need to share that information with some other people because some other people might not have the resources that we have. So this is kind of how the podcast started. And so I'm happy to have Tamika on with us today. And we got a great topic, as always. Today, we're going to be talking about the attachment styles, right? And so let me just give you a few words about it. Attachment styles is understanding attachment styles, how they develop, how they affect friendships, family relationships, dating, marriage, conflict, and communication. The attachment theory was developed by a psychologist, John Bowlby. The attachment styles are patterns we develop for connection and security. They often begin in childhood, but continue to influence adult relationships. And there are 4 attachment styles: the secure, anxious, dismissive, avoidant, and fearful avoidant. And then here's a question. Have you ever looked at a relationship and thought, why do I keep reacting this way? Or have you ever wondered why some people need constant reassurance while others pull away when relationships get serious? That's always been a question because you wonder about it. You're like, man, they were doing so well. And now all of a sudden, they're not together anymore. So a lot of it has to do with their attachment style. So I'm going to start with just kind of giving you an idea on what is attachment. And then Tamika's going to come in and give us some dialogue. So attachment is our emotional blueprint for relationships. It tells us how we interact with people, how we react, how we respond, how we receive. And it influences trust, communication, conflict, vulnerability, intimacy. Attachment isn't about blaming parents. It's about understanding ourselves, really. And then another question is, can childhood experiences shape adult relationships? Can attachment styles change over time? Are we aware of our own patterns? Those are some of the things that, some of the questions you need to ask yourself. And so Tamika's going to talk to you about why attachment styles matter.
Attachment styles, why attachment styles matter is because they influence how we connect with other people, how we communicate with others, and how we handle conflict in every relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship, a parental relationship, and even friendships. Therefore, attachment styles influence. They're formed in our childhood experiences influence our attachment styles, show up powerfully in our adulthood, especially in moments of stress, intimacy, or misunderstanding.
Mm-hmm.
The goal isn't to label people, it's to understand patterns so we can grow towards secure attachment.
Relation. Yeah, exactly. Because that's really ultimately we want everybody to have a secure attachment style. That's the goal. But there's a process to get to that. So the 4 attachment styles, as I said before, the first one is secure attachment, and that comes from it's warm, attuned, consistent caregiving, and some of the adult patterns equal comfortable with closeness, communicates needs clearly, so they tell you what they need. They handle conflict without shutting down. And the key strength in the secure attachment style is trust that relationships are safe. So they feel safe in their relationships. People with secure attachments generally feel comfortable with closeness and independence. Some of the characteristics of the secure attachment style is they communicate openly, they trust others, they handle conflict relatively well, they're comfortable asking for needs, and they're comfortable in giving space. And then one of the things I wanted to ask about that is, in the secure attachment, it's about emotional security. So they feel secure in it. And what does it look like? Why do secure people often seem calmer during conflict? Is secure attachment something people are born with or learned? So it's one of the talking points about that is secure people still have relationship problems. They just tend to address them differently. And that's the difference between each one of the attachment styles. The next attachment style, Tamika's going to talk about anxious.
And anxious, I might be able to relate to, because this is the first time I want to just put a caveat. I've never done anything like this before, but I do appreciate you asking me to come on here, Deneen. Anxious attachment styles are inconsistent. Original origin is from inconsistent caregiving or a perceived abandonment in childhood. Adult patterns could be fear of rejection or being abandoned, seeking frequent reassurance, being very hypervigilant and to emotional shifts, clinging to or overly explaining, core wounds to anxious attachment styles is you might have a feeling that someone is going to leave you, or you might leave me. People with anxious attachments often fear abandonment or rejection.
And then some common behaviors is that they're overthinking, seeking reassurance, worrying about relationship status, hyper awareness of changes in communication. And then some examples.
Reading into text messages, like someone sending you a text and you're just feeling very anxious, or when someone's taking longer to respond, like assuming something is wrong. One of the questions is, why does certainty feels so difficult? Have you ever conceived yourself, or have you ever conceived as if something was wrong? The behavior having no evidence that something is wrong.
Right. I mean, let's talk about that. So have you ever, somebody send you something and you're like, I wonder what's wrong with that. I wonder if they're mad at me. You start asking questions. Are they mad at me? Did I do something wrong? Right. And you don't have any, and you don't have any, you're like, I don't know why I feel that way, but I just feel that way. Right.
Yeah. Exactly. or you read it, you get an email from someone, and this is one thing I don't like about text or emails, is because you don't know tone. And so you are assuming that there's some type of tone behind the email, and you're convinced that this person's mad at you, and you have no idea how they're feeling, because they're not in front of you where you can pick up on the verbal cues, or even you're not seeing them through a screen. So you're just making assumptions about the message, or you sent a message and you feel like somebody read it in a way that might be reading it in a way that you are feeling. Actually, it might be your own internal feelings that are coming up, not about the person that you sent it to.
Yeah, no, exactly. So that's just that's a really good example, especially about the text messages, because just like you said, you can't do the tone, and then you just don't know, because people use words, people say things, and then people say things in text that they would never say to your face, right?
Yeah, that's so true. But you can also misread the text. Sometimes I've been known to do that, and then I go back and read it, and I'm like, oh, they did not say that at all. Like, I
I
didn't see
was
that.
reading. That's what I did today. I sent Tamika a text and said, "Hey, you want to be want to be our guest host?" And she said yeah, but then I thought I don't know, I didn't hear back from her a little bit more, and I was like, I wonder if she said yes or did she say no. So a lot of times you do need to go back and read the text, and I think that when you're talking about an anxious attachment, you're talking about somebody who really needs clarity in everything. They don't need, you can't have any gaps, right?
No,
No,
yeah.
you want, just like how
You have to
about,
reassure them. They need reassurance often.
yes,
They need, yeah.
exactly. And how about when you send somebody a text and they don't respond? People with the anxious attachment theory, they don't respond. People think something's wrong, right? And
Yeah.
I'm always, I mean,
And
I
I'm
don't
not
know.
the person. If you are an anxious attachment person, I'm not the person, because I take hours to respond to a text message. I'm not attached to my phone. So I tell my friends that, and when I meet people, I'm like, I'm so sorry, but I'm not. I'm very busy oftentimes, and it's not that I don't care. I'm just not attached to a cell phone. So
Yeah,
don't read anything into it.
well, people get labeled when they have anxious attachment as being
Mhm.
needy, right? And I don't
Mhm.
think it's necessarily as needy. I think it is, it's getting what you need. I
Yeah.
mean, you
Yeah.
need to, you got to make sure that the relationships that you're putting in, putting your energies into, are also giving you what you need. So if
Yeah.
you're a person that requires, more conversations, more communication, then
Mhm.
you need to make sure that you are choosing a person that looks like that acts like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Or just communicating that, so that what I believe in relationships is like a give and take. So when you communicate, hey, I'm this person who I need a little more reassurance, or need a little more communication. And granted, it's different when different types of relationships, the way you respond, how frequently you're connecting to people. But um just communicating that ahead of time, and rather than assuming. These are ways you can create healthy, if you're an anxious type of person, to create that healthy relationship. Is communication is just key to and then that gives people options, because then somebody might be like, you know what, this is not,
It's not
I
gonna work.
just know me, that's not gonna work. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Communication, really letting the person that you're interacting with know what your expectations are, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
so like for me, when I get new friends, which I always say no new friends, because I don't need any new friends, but when I come in contact with new people, I first thing I tell them is, if you're a person that wants me to call you every day, and you want to talk to me every day, and you're gonna be upset,
Mhm.
I'm not that girl. I can't be that friend for you. So I tell people that up
Mhm.
front, that I'm not that. And I also tell people that if you're a person that does not want the truth from me,
Yeah,
then you're probably not going to be happy with me.
I know that to be true. That is to be true. It's true. She's my truth teller. You're my truth friend. I always tell people I have a truth teller, so I call her when I want the truth.
But I mean, really, it really is about letting people know who you are and what your expectations are, right? And I know, unfortunately, for the anxious folks. But here's the
Mhm.
thing. I mean, start thinking about when I think about the anxious thing. Let's just start thinking about Where does that come from? It comes from being disappointed all the time. It comes from people not doing what they say they're going to do, right? It comes from people
Well,
saying one thing, doing another thing. It comes from people leaving you, right?
right. Or it comes from that childhood, back in that the way in the child you're talking about. Maybe you felt abandoned, or you were abandoned in your by a parent, and then so it sets up that feeling that you're going to be abandoned by you may not even know. There's a lot of people out there walking around don't even know they have the anxious attachment
Right.
style based on their experiences from childhood.
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, if you can't help it, you can't help it to a certain point. Once you are aware of it, though, you can get help, because you can heal, and you can get help for you to just be better. But in the meantime, your real people, your people that care about you, they need to handle you gingerly, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, handle
But
with
they
care.
can't be tiptoeing around people though. I mean, gingerly is good, but with grace, but not
Yeah, no,
tiptoeing. Yeah.
absolutely. But I think that, but you have the number one thing is to make sure that you're honest, right? Making sure that you are being honest. I had a thing today at church. I was just about to tell you about a thing at church today. We were talking about communication at church today. And one of the things that she had said, just goes off a little bit, but it kind of connects with it. She was talking about gossip versus conversation, right? And what she said gossip was sharing information to the wrong person at the wrong time. I was like, that's so good, right?
Yes.
At the wrong, saying it with the wrong person at the wrong time. So she was just talking about, and I was just thinking about that when you think about the anxious folks, because you want to let them know that how they're handling things is maybe not what they think it is, but you need to make sure that you do it privately, right? And you also want to make sure that you do it timely. You don't want to do it in the middle of an argument, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right. There was something you said and I lost it. So it'll come back
What
to me.
about what about, okay, you don't want to do it in an argument, right? Did you find it? Did you get it back? Just write your note down so you can remember it.
I know. I need to write it down.
You don't want to do it in an argument, and you also don't want to do it when they are in a vulnerable situation, right?
Yeah.
So let's say they had a hard day. Everybody's been whatever. That is not the time to pull somebody aside and start telling them about what they should and should not be doing. So you need to be really careful and be attentive when you're interacting with your people, so that they can receive it well. Because
yes, absolutely.
And that's what this lady said this today. I got my notes right here. This was really good. She said, whenever we have any kind of interactions with people, ultimately we want to, what did she said? I just want to say what she said. We want to build, she said, we want to restore relationships. That's the goal. The goal is to make sure that we're restoring the relationship, making sure that we're building the relationship. And that's good stuff. I mean, always remember that we're trying to build the relationship. We want to restore the relationship, and we want to grow the relationship. Those are the things.
Absolutely. Okay, it came back to me, Deneen. I was going to say, also, in the way that you're communicating with other people also depends on the type of attachment style that you have, right? It depends on whether you have a healthy attachment style or if you have one of these other attachment styles that we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. But it just depends on your attachment style. So that's why one of the reasons why it's very important to know more about attachment styles and what your attachment style is, because then you'll know how you're reacting to your loved one and how you're reacting to this person who's anxious avoidance.
Right. So so now when you talk to me, I'm not going to be frantic about it, because I know who you are, right?
Right.
I know that's who you are. So I'm not going to go crazy about it. I'm going to, like, for me, like I write notes down. I'm going to put it up and store it up. and then we will talk about it another time because
Yes.
I know who you are. And so, and that was one of the things. Remember, I said that I said this to you one time, Tamika. I said, when I say something to you, you know my heart, you know where I'm coming from, right?
Exactly. I know who
So,
you
so
are.
even though I'm very sharp sometimes, and some seemingly not thoughtful or not really emotional about it, if you know where my heart is, you know that I'm coming from a place of love, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So when you start thinking about where that person is coming from, then you can understand it better, because now all of a sudden you don't take it as a cut. You're like, oh, that hurt, but I know she ain't trying to hurt me.
Right. Right.
Right.
And if you take it as a hurt, sometimes and I'm not a psychologist, I'll put it out there. I have worked in the field, but I'm not licensed to be
No,
giving any
no,
kind of,
we're just passing, we're
but
just
yeah,
sharing information.
share information. But what I was going to say about that is that when we work on ourselves and we know who we are, if we're feeling some kind of way from someone we know, a loved one, someone we know who loves us is telling us something, and I know we have had our own disagreements at times. What is pausing is really good to figure out what is this, what is triggering me. What is she saying that's triggering me? What is Deneen telling me that is triggering me? Why am I being triggered by this? Like,
Right. That's good.
what
That
about me is experiencing this in the way that I'm experiencing it?
right.
Yeah.
And just communicating it, really communicating it, because there's no reason why you can't go to somebody that you care about and say, that didn't make me feel well. I didn't feel good about that.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't like the way
Absolutely.
I felt when you said that.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That made me feel a certain kind of way. But when you say it like that, it's not saying, oh, you hurt my feelings. It can't. No, I did not hurt
No.
your feelings.
Yes.
Yeah. What I said, did come off a certain way. But I think that it's important for us to just really communicate and just let people know that where we're coming from. Because
Exactly. Yeah.
you could even say something like, what were you thinking about me when you said that to me?
Right. Yes.
Right.
Or I need a little more information. Remember, I told you recently about a former coworker, who told me that I don't make a good manager. And that, to me, like, I'm a processor anyway. And so when she said it hit me some kind of way. But we went on with the conversation, and then it just sat with me, and I kept recycling it out. I was like, what was that all about? So then I was like, that wasn't about me. That was about her. But then later I was like, had to call her up and say, hey, you made this comment, and it just won't go away. So I'm just trying to figure out, are you saying I was a bad manager, or were you saying something about, because she was referencing my health and how my health has impacted my ability to do my job. And I'm like, were you referencing my health and that influencing my ability to be a manager? Like, I'm just trying to figure out, what were you trying to say by that?
Right.
Because the way it came off was, maybe you misspoke, but and she apologized. But I did have to later on just come back to it and say, what were you trying to say in that situation? Can you just explain to me? Can you tell me more about what you were saying to me? Because I didn't really understand it. But I know her heart. I know she and I used to work together for many years, and I know that I'm assuming that I know her. We were coworkers, but I'm assuming that she wasn't coming from a bad place. But I just needed to be clear. I need to clarify. If she had said more about, like, tearing me down type of thing, and then I would have known who she really was and would have known more about why she said that. But she didn't. She corrected it and she apologized. But you just have to pause. Like I said, I'm a processor, so I had to process it, and then I had to come back and just later on ask, instead of assuming I'm never talking to her again. She just said I was a bad manager. I went back and asked a question, like, what did you really mean by that statement? Because
Right.
maybe you were just in your feelings at the moment and said the wrong thing.
Well, I mean, that's what anxious attachment style, that's really what it's about, Tamika. It's often about seeking safety and certainty. So you are you want to feel safe, and you want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just trying to figure it out. So that's really what that is. So yeah. Yeah, that's a really good one. I think a lot of people can relate to that. Hey, April, I love you. That's my sister.
Hi, April.
So yeah, I think that's a good one, and I think a lot of people a lot of people can resonate with the anxious attachment style at some point
Mm-hmm.
in your life. You know,
Mm-hmm.
some situations, there are times when you are more secure, and then there are times when you might be more anxious. So it just kind of depends on, you know, whom you're interacting with. Because
Yeah.
I might be secure in, you know, at work, right? And I
Yeah.
might be secure with my relationship with you, but I might not be secure with my relationship with a male, right? A romantic partner.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it
Mm-hmm.
may be different,
Mm-hmm.
you know, depending on who you are interacting with. You might be insecure with your boss. Hey, your boss might be insecure with
Together
you.
with you.
I've
Oh
had that
yeah.
before. You know,
Me
we've had
too.
that, right? Because
Yes.
we've worked with
Absolutely.
people, we've worked with bosses who was anxious, had an anxious attachment style with us at work, and they were the supervisors. When that happens, man, that's a tough situation to
It
be in.
is a tough situation. I had one who tried to eliminate my job. Remember that, Deneen? She tried to eliminate. Yeah, that was something. That
Mhm.
was
Oh,
something.
and then the other thing was, remember, now this is so funny because this only me and Tamika can talk about this. The time that they tried to get me in trouble with human resources, saying I was practicing religion in the workplace
Yes.
because I gave you a book. That's because she was so anxious. She's so worried. She's so worried about, you know, what I'm doing, and that, you know, they just do dumb stuff. Or
Mm-hmm.
the girl in there who asked me to pray for her,
Mm-hmm.
and then she was the one that said I was practicing religion in the workplace. She asked me to pray for her.
And that book disappeared off my desk. I just want to say before I left.
You
Somebody
know
took
what?
that book.
I don't have any more of those books. I forgot what that book was, but I remember it's a little green book. That was a
It
good
was a
book.
great book. I used to go in the bathroom and pray about her.
We
Pray for
had
her
to.
with that book.
We had
Yeah.
to. I mean, that she
Mm-mm.
really did have an anxious attachment style.
Attachment. Mm-hmm.
She was very worried
Misreading.
all the time. She wanted to know what's going on, and she was a gossipy, right? She's
Mm-hmm.
always into things. I mean, that's just funny. I hadn't thought about it before, but that was definitely, I'm sure most of you guys have experienced a person in the workplace that had the anxious attachment style where they were into everything. Most of the time, these people micromanage too.
Mm-hmm.
They want to know everything you're doing, every time you move, where you go, you know, they want to know all those things. But I think that what we have to do is we just have to make sure that we're not leaving any gaps for those people. And what does that
That's the word.
require? Some extra
Mm-hmm.
effort for us? Yes, it does. But we need to make sure that we answer the questions before they ask them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It,
And we're gonna come across at people with all types of attachment styles, right? Throughout our life, in our current relationships, in our families. So we just have to figure out how we're navigating those relationships.
right,
How we
right.
want to navigate. Because sometimes some people the anxious style can be exhausting.
Well, and I think it is exhausting, but
Mhm.
I think a good there's like I think a good middle ground is, she said, that's the enemy stupidity.
Stupidity. I know.
That's so true. She said
How many prayers?
1 minute prayers. Yes, yes. We need that. We need those.
Yes.
Didn't we,
I
girl?
love I still have my 1 minute prayer book though. I do have that.
It's
Still have that.
nice. No,
Yeah.
that's nice. But I think that what we can do is, specifically as Christians, let's assume that people are coming from a good place. Let's
Mm-hmm.
assume that first, right? So we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt first, right? But then we're going to watch and see, because we got to be prepared. We need to be prepared. We need to prepare for the good, and we need to be prepared for the bad,
Yes.
because they both are real.
Yes.
Anyway,
Amen.
so yeah, I mean, we beat up on that
Hmm.
one a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
again, like I said, it's
And yes, but I just want to say people with us, there's some good there's got to be some good coming from someone with the anxious attachment style as well. Because they're gonna worry about you and they're gonna take care of you because they're worried about you. So I think they're
yeah,
gonna
I think so.
yeah,
I think, you know, they could very well be worried, concerned about us, but they
yeah,
also, more than likely, they're trying to protect themselves,
yes, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And you cannot like, you can't fault nobody for trying to protect themselves, trying to be safe.
I understand that.
Trying to understand what's going on. You're trying to protect themselves. So, that's but there's room for growth in each and every one of these. So we'll just move on to the next one. And the next one is dismissive avoidant attachment. So what is that about? Okay, so the origin is an emotional neglect or environments where vulnerability wasn't safe. That's where it came from. So they came from environments that that they didn't feel safe in. And the adult patterns is the hyper independence. They don't depend on nobody, right? And they don't express no emotion. They ain't gonna let nobody see them weak, right? And then as soon as they start getting close to somebody, they pull away, right? We've seen people like that. You'd be like, again, why are they doing it? And then I just want to give a distinction between avoidant and narcissist, because they're real close, right? So avoidants seek being, by themselves. They try to do everything themselves. And then the narcissist is about control. So we definitely want to make the distinction on that, because they're really similar. If you start looking at the definitions of what a narcissist is, you will see how blurred the lines are when you talk about an avoidant attachment style. They're very blurred. And so you just kind of have to, dig in there and see what's really going on with that. And so the
definition, is that more like the relationship of someone who, oh my gosh, so sorry, I lost it now.
That's okay.
Yeah, it'll come back to me. But when you were talking about that, and I was thinking about the avoidant. That's when I think about it as someone who you want to spend time with, but they don't want to. They're not available when you unavailable. That's what I was thinking about. An unavailable person.
Being unavailable. No, I think the avoidant is really talking about more emotional, right? And obviously the emotional, not being available emotionally probably would connect with not being available physically as well.
Yeah.
But much more emotional, because I had a relationship similar to that, and they were, we hung out a lot. We hung out a lot, but they did what when we were hanging out, they weren't saying anything meaningful, right? They would do all of these things. That's why I say, whenever you are getting into maybe a new romantic relationship, you need to make sure that your whole getting to know each other is not involved with all the distractions, right? Let's do this, let's do that. Those are all distractions. And what that means is that you are not getting to know that person. You're hanging out. So you gotta be real careful. People say, if you want to know if you truly like somebody, spend a whole weekend locked in with them. Locked in with them. Y'all can't go nowhere. No. Nobody else. And you can't be on your phone the whole time either, right? So the definition,
or watching TV or any of those things. So.
Yeah, you can't do all those things. None of those things.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I had my 3 grandnieces with me all last week for 7 days. We did not watch TV one time. Not one time. And they weren't stuck on their phones. Pretty amazing. I'm surprised. There's a lot about who they are, not me. But anyway, so the definition is people with avoidant attachment often value independence and self-reliance. Yes, that's what we said before. So they, because they don't want to owe anybody anything. They don't want to owe you anything, right? So that's why they're like, nah, I'm good. No, I'm good. But the reality of it is relationships are exchanges. So, that's just what it is. So, and then there's some common behavior about the dismissive avoidant attachment. Is difficulty depending on others, pulling away, doing emotional conversations. So when you get into a serious conversation with that person, they're gonna try to throw you away on it. You'll be talking, let's talk, da, 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 da. They're gonna be like, oh, I gotta make a phone call. Oh, I gotta go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I gotta go
distractions.
Like your little kids do. Well, I gotta pee. I'm hungry. my leg hurt.
Yeah.
That's what the little kids do, but the grown-ups do it the same. They do the same thing on a different level, right? So I just think that's funny. But they need space after conflicts. So after they have conflicts, they don't want to talk to you. They'll ghost you. Um, and then they feel overwhelmed by vulnerability. So if they're getting vulnerable with you, they start feeling overwhelmed. They may or may not be crying about it, but they will shut down. So, and this is a couple examples about it is shutting down during disagreements. They ain't saying nothing. They ain't saying nothing. You be like, don't you have something to say? Don't you have a comment?
Mm-hmm.
Or they avoid the difficult conversations. They don't want to talk about it. I ain't ready to talk about it yet.
Yeah. Then they're never ready to talk about it, though. That's the difference. It's like, I don't want to have a conversation. Can we just have fun? Why we always got to talk? Can we just have fun?
Yeah. Oh, every time I turn around, you want to have a serious conversation.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Or I think that's so funny. Or they focusing on logic instead of feelings. So they don't want to talk about feelings. How do you feel about me? Oh, you're nice.
Yeah. And they can't express feelings, probably.
You look good.
Yep.
You're smart. They ain't gonna say nothing about, internally. They're not gonna say any of those things. I think that's funny. But yeah, I mean, I think that some questions that we can ask about them is why do some people withdraw when relationships become more serious? So people have like this threshold. And matter of fact, you'll see a pattern of it. You'll see a pattern with some people, like, let's say your son or whatever. You're like, as soon as she start doing that, he's out. Right?
Yeah.
He ain't going for that, because he is afraid to go deep into things. And so, yeah, they don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
And then avoiding people aren't necessarily avoiding love. Often they're avoiding feeling vulnerable. So they don't want to give their heart to people. And then they lose. I mean, they don't, then people don't do what they say they're going to do.
Right. So they're also based in, there's some fear of being hurt in this too. For them.
Right. Which is the next one, which brings us to the next one.
Yeah. The fear avoidant, also known as disorganized attachment. The origin for this is turbulent or unpredictable childhood, adult patterns, how this shows up as an adult, push and pull dynamic, comes close, then goes away, craves intimacy, but fears it. It's difficult to trust others. This is often shows up in relationships with high emotional and intensity.
Right.
The definition is a combination of anxious and avoidant tendencies. So what would that look like? Like the anxious and avoidance tendency is somebody who is worried and anxious, right? But then they keep calling you or whatever, and then they pull back. Like they pull you in, and then they pull back.
Yes, that's exactly right. So you're like, oh yeah, they call you. You're like, oh, they calling me.
Yeah, they call me. I'm calling me.
You're like, oh no, I gotta go.
Yes. They reciprocate. You start calling them, and the next thing you can't get in touch with them. But it's kind of like that. They chase, and then once they catch, then they don't. They're avoidant. They can't hold on to it.
Yeah, they want it, but they don't want that much of it. Right.
Yeah. These are often the people who desperately want connection, but like you said, become scared when they get it. Wanting an example is wanting closeness and pulling away, fear of abandonment, fear of vulnerability, and mixed signals in relationships.
Right. So they're going to they'll give you mixed signals. Next thing you know, they're buying you all these gifts, and then then you don't see them for 3 days.
Right. You're always confused. You're like, I think she really likes me, but I think she's really into me. But then there's this uneasiness or this, you're not 100% sure this person is into you. Like you're not 100% where they stand. Some questions you might ask: Why can intimacy feel both comfortable and scary? Have you ever wanted something and feared it at the same time?
Yeah, I think a lot of times, people say they want a relationship. People say they want to get married, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as
Mm-hmm.
soon as you start getting close to it, you start worrying about it, right?
Yes.
Start
Yes.
worrying like, oh my God, is this what I really want? Do I really want to, have to give up everything that I'm doing right now for
Mm-hmm.
that one little whatever else you're gonna get out of it? So yeah, I think you can be scary. I think you can be scared about the thing that you feel like you want, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So you have to
Yeah.
really, I think you have to count the costs, right? I want that, but what is it going to cost me to have it?
Have it.
What do I have to give up to get that? Because everything, like I said, everything is about exchanges, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't, you cannot get something without giving up something.
Yeah.
That's just what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So
I think this is Go ahead. Sorry, Denise. Sorry about
no,
that.
no,
I was gonna say I think this is probably one of the more difficult types of relationships to or relationship attachment style person to be in a relationship with, because it's so confusing. It doesn't, it's not, there's no, you don't, there's no solid ground in this one. I mean, there's not a lot of solid ground in a lot of the attachments that aren't healthy, but this one seems to me like that it keeps you confused all the time, keeps you in confusion
well,
all the
yeah,
time.
I think that person needs to heal, right? I think
Yeah.
that person needs to acknowledge. I'm sure that this person, she said, no, she said, I know I'm about to move. I'm about my move and next
Next
chapter.
chapter. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
no, because you have to, like I said, you got to count the costs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that
Mm-hmm.
you need to be aware of how you are interacting with people. And you were talking about that before, talking
Mm-hmm.
about awareness. We need to once we are aware, then when people come at us and say things to us, those things start becoming more familiar to us. Whereas though
Yeah.
when you're not aware, it's a foreign language. You're like, what are you talking about? No, that's not true. You're going to be very offended and defensive. But once you are aware, you
Mm-hmm.
start saying, well, maybe I need to think about that. Right. So I think
Yep.
awareness is very important, but I do think that in that particular attachment style, I think that there's some growing up
Mm-hmm.
that needs to be had. And many
Definitely.
times the problem with it is that people are just not honest about what's happening.
They may not even know what's happening. Some people, many people live life for many years not knowing why they are the way they are. So they may not even know that they have this type of attachment style and causing a lot of harm in the way that they're relating to other people.
Well,
You
yeah, I think that they don't know, but at the same time, I think that people have to be honest about the effect that other people are having on them as well.
Yes.
And
Yes.
but what I found out with the avoidance,
Mm-hmm.
they won't let you tell them. They will ghost you, they will disappear, they will not have conversations with you when they realize that you found them out.
Mm-hmm.
They will disappear so that you don't. So what happens is this person just goes on to the next victim. That's why I was saying about the fine line with the narcissist. They go
Mm-hmm.
on to their next supply and they keep going and they keep going. So but I think that when we learn these attachment styles, we learn to recognize them, then we
Mm-hmm.
are not allowing those people to get so deep in us, so that they can harm us emotionally.
Yeah, you see it ahead of time. And you
Yeah.
do. Once you
Hmm.
learn about it, you do see it in other people right away. And like you
Hmm.
said, you have the option to make the choice as to whether I want to continue with this relationship or friendship, or if I have a family member who behaves this way, how much time do I want to spend with that person?
Yeah, no,
That's
exactly.
why we need to be careful. That's right.
Mhm.
We certainly do. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the knowledge is the key. Just knowledge, learning these type of attachment styles. Before I read this or learned about it in the past, I had no idea. But now that I know this information, when I'm interacting with people, I know who I'm interacting with.
Yes.
I know they
Yeah.
show me who they are, and then I just
Mhm.
make a decision as to whether I want to continue this
Mhm.
relationship and
Yeah.
how I want this relationship to be,
Right.
how
Right.
often.
Yeah, that's one of the things when we talk about just like as Christian women,
Hmm.
are we perfect? No, we're sinners as well. But the difference between when we were not in Christ is that we turn away, we turn around quicker, right?
Yes.
And
Oh yeah.
because we
Amen.
turn around quicker, so we get
Hmm.
convicted quicker and we turn around quicker. And it's the same thing with these attachment styles. When you know about them, you turn around quicker, or you reject it quicker, so you don't get so caught up into it. I think
Hmm.
that once again, I think it's about it's the foundation of of this podcast. We're better together. We're better together
Hmm.
because we have information that we need to share. We have information that everybody doesn't have, and so we're trying to share information that we think is important for people to grow,
Hmm.
that they might not get their hands on. Not everybody is going to read a book. Not everybody's going to be kind of nerdy like us, trying to get every piece of information we find. Every time you turn around, we're reading a new book. I mean, April, my sister April, we're reading a new book. We're listening to a new podcast. We're listening to a new YouTube. We're like constantly trying to get better. And
Hmm.
everybody doesn't have that time, and everybody doesn't necessarily have the passion for that. And so that's why we're here, so that we can help give information. I mean, the way I look at it, we come here every week. If we can get one person to be better at communicating, one person to be better at connecting, one
Hmm.
person to be better at interacting with people, then you know what? That's a good thing. It's a good thing,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes. Saving
So
people one person at a time.
exactly, that's how I feel. So just a another thing on it, on how these styles show up in real life. Just some basic stuff. So when we
Hmm.
talk about avoidant minimizes emotions, withdraws during conflict. The anxious is a pleaser, right?
Hmm.
Always over apologizing, Tamika, right?
Hmm.
Manages other people's emotions. She said, "I love the shared experience without trauma."
Trauma.
So
Yes.
good. So good, April. You know what? Everybody is not like that. I think that, and that's why I love this platform, because if we can get people on this platform, you know how many people can save themselves the time
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
the hurt and the pain. And even if they can't save themselves from it, they might be able to save their children. They might be able to save a friend, something like that. Because you know what? It's contrary to what people say, everybody does not have to experience trauma. Everybody doesn't. I'm sorry to tell y'all that. So, there's no excuse that, everybody goes through it. No, you don't have to go through it, but you need
Yeah.
information, right? Right.
Yes, exactly.
Right. So,
Hmm.
vacillator, a fearful avoidant subtype. You're hot and cold, right? Idolizes, devalues. They tell you how wonderful you are, and then they tell you how terrible you are, right?
Hmm.
You get that?
Yes.
Now, how do they do that? Like, what? You're like, seriously? What do you mean?
So confusing.
Yeah,
It's,
it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
Like, I mean, you have any examples of that, of people being hot and cold,
Do I have
idealizing and devaluing? You got any examples
do
on
I
how
have
people?
examples? I
Yeah,
have
you got
plenty of
any examples?
yeah, I have plenty. Let me think. Well, how people are hot and cold in connection,
Yeah,
like this kind
yeah,
of what I think we've talked about a little bit more about how someone is like going, they're constantly seeking you. They're you feel like, man, this person is really into me. And then when you reciprocate that same type of, you match their energy, they all of a sudden they're ghosting you. And you're like,
right.
what? Like no tech, you text them and they ain't texting you back. You call, they ain't answering your call. You may even have something scheduled and time to spend with that person, and then they text you and say, I can't make it. Like you then built
Right.
up all of this anticipation of seeing this person because they came for you, and then they all of a sudden they ghost you. And it's like, what
Right.
is this?
That's
Yeah.
what me and my daughter was talking about this before. It's like, leave me alone.
Right.
Why are you bothering
Why are you
me?
bothering me? Yes. And if you're not healthy, go get healthy first. Or not even have to be all the way healthy. Just go do your work.
Right.
Like you said, we are constantly trying to improve ourselves. And so if someone has that type of, if they are like that, again, they need to go get some help so they can figure out why am I this way?
Yeah,
What in
no.
my history is taught me this behavior, and why am I treating, because they may really like that person, but because they're fearful, because fear gets in the way, then all of a sudden their fear has overtaken their mind, even though they really like that person, they really were into that person, but the fear sets in of this person, if they knew who I really was, they're not gonna want me. And so
Yeah,
I'm gonna,
that's
whatever internal messages that they're receiving, they are going to, that's the message that they're going to believe, versus you're now the person standing in front of them, trying to seek them, wanting to be with them. The evidence doesn't match.
well, yeah, we talked about that before, making sure, your words and your actions line up and they're
yes.
consistent. They need to be consistent. It can't
Mhm.
be, I mean, you're so wonderful to me, last month, and now it has to be consistent. So, and then part of the, when you're disorganized is controller victim cycles, unpredictable reactions. So they make themselves as the victim. Look what they did to me. This is what they did to me. Or whatever they did to me made me do what I did to them. Right.
Mhm. Mhm. Oh, the victim mentality. They're always the victim. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's everybody else's fault.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
That's the thing. It's like, what? It's everybody else's fault. Like, why you do that? You did that because of this. You did that because of that. So anyway, so just so I want to close, I'm just going to finish up a few things. It says these patterns often create predictable cycles in relationships. One pattern pursues, the other withdraws. The hope of it is that you can earn a secure attachment. Research shows people can move towards a secure attachment through
Mhm.
building a coherent narrative of their story, making sense of your past. So that's, you need to know. You need to know why you're doing the things that you do. Talk to your
Mhm.
parents, talk to your aunties, talk to your uncles, talk to your people, and look at the patterns of your family members. Because a lot of those patterns that you see that you don't like, you got some too. Right?
Yes.
And you don't even know it. I mean, and here's the thing. A lot of times we have a lot of the same patterns, but we've
Mhm.
learned to manage them better. Right? We've learned to manage and hide them. So watch and see what's happening, in people, or like that. This is one thing that I think is important. That person that you talk to that gets on your nerves, you need to check yourself. Check yourself. Just
Yes.
like Tamika said it earlier. Why am I triggered by that? Why does this get
Mhm.
under my skin so much? You need to
Mhm.
understand that, because it's not so much about that person, it's about you. So you
Yeah.
need to definitely. But yeah, research shows people can move forward towards secure attachments through building coherent narrative of their stories. Change your story. You can always change your story. Practicing emotional language and needs, learning healthy boundaries that invite closeness. So that's something that a lot of people need to learn. Healthy boundaries. I mean, it's not allowing people to just do any old thing
Mhm.
with you
Mhm.
about you. No, you need to stand up. Stand up for what you believe. Stand up for what you know you deserve. Right.
Mhm.
So, and shifting from being reactive to being responsive, right? So don't let people push your buttons. People will try to push your buttons. Don't let people push your buttons. When people say things, just Tamika said this earlier, take a pause, gather yourself, and
Run.
run,
Run.
run. Take
Run.
a pause, gather yourself, and then determine what your plan of action is going to be. Because we also we also don't want people to push our buttons, but we also don't want people to have us doing something before we're ready.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I ain't quitting my job.
No.
She said we train people how to treat us. That's actually right.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm not quitting my job. I don't care. You can make it as miserable as you want. I'm not quitting my job till I'm ready.
No.
You know, kind of thing. I'm not doing that. Like I'm not doing things because you did something. I'm going to make my decisions based off of, you know, some rational processing. So yeah, I think that's important. And then remember that healing happens through repair and comfort. We hurt in relationships. We're hurt in relationships and we heal in relationships. So the same relationship that you got hurt in, you could heal potentially. I mean, if you want to still be in it, like, I don't know. Right. So just a quick takeaway. Remember, your attachment style is not your destiny. It's your starting point. It is starting for you to understand how you're interacting with people and where you need to grow, right? And security is built through small, repeated moments of repair. I think Aristotle said that excellence is the habits, is a pattern of habits, of positive habits. Yeah. So if you keep doing positive things, then you're going to see positive results. Couldn't think of it. I used to have.
I like that. I like what April said. I'm not leaving my healthy place for you.
My wealthy place for you.
My wealthy place. Does that say wealthy?
Healthy is good too.
I think healthy too.
Healthy is good. That's good. I'm not leaving my wealthy place.
Wealthy place or my
healthy place. Because look, my healthy place is my wealthy place.
Amen. Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Yes. Yeah.
I had a couple quick things that I would share about you know, when the attachment styles clash. You know, we were talking about that before. Like one of them is the anxious and the avoidant, right?
Oh wow.
And then here's a scenario of it. An anxious partner says we need to talk. Avoidant partner says I need some space. Right. The more one person pursues, the more the other person retreats. We talked about that before, right? Which I think is funny. And then when you talk about secure and anxious, right? See, it just talks about it says, I believe people are anxious because of the uncertainty. True. That's really what it is. I said this. I said, if you have to ask the question, you probably already have the answer. You probably already have the answer because you know what it is. So I think we given a good overview of the attachment styles, you know, I mean, but obviously
there's so much
secure attachment is what you're going for. Right. And you got any final words, Tamika?
I was going to say there's so much more to this, so much more to the attachments styles, but I think we have done a good job of talking about it today, and it's just important. I think it's more important to know who you are and what attachment style you are currently in, and then just doing the work to get to a secure attachment style.
That's good. That's good, Tamika. That's exactly right. And I'm glad you said there's so much more information because that's what we do. You know, we may come back next week and add some more to it, or we might go down in a few more weeks and talk about it. But what we really want to do is remember that we're better together and we grow when we work together. Right. So Tamika, thank you so much for coming
Thanks
today.
for having me. I enjoyed it. Thank you for having me, everyone. Yes. This was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Okay. Remember, what this was said, we are what?
Better together. Don't get me to sing it because I'm not a singer.